Hi guys, it's Daniel here again. In this video I want to talk about how much sleep you actually need for intelligence. So for the last about 4.5 years I've had this Oura ring and I've been tracking my sleep on a daily basis. So not just my sleep but also my deep sleep, my REM sleep, the total sleep duration, my resting heart rate, the HRV, all these different metrics that are very useful for determining when you should be training and really how to optimize yourself for peak performance on a daily basis. So I've been collecting that data for about 4.5 years now. So I did do a deep analysis of my data a couple of years ago, and from that I determined that I really need to keep my resting heart rate low and my HRV high in order to maximize my mental performance on a daily basis. So that's what kind of kick-started me into the journey of cardio training, to really just lower my resting heart rate and to increase my HRV. But over the last week, I've done another really deep dive into my data, because when I did the previous analysis, I only had about a year's worth of data. So now I've got 4.5 years worth of data. And it's not just 4.5 years worth of sleep data and physical data that I've got. I've also got data on what I was eating every day, how much training I was doing every day, what time I went to sleep, and how much brain training I was doing on every day, and my mental performance every day. I've got data on all these different metrics for almost 5 years now. So now I can do a really solid analysis and really determine what works and what doesn't work and what I should be focusing on. So I still need to do more analysis, I think, because it's a very complicated process to really match up all these different data sets to really determine what's going on. But from my initial analysis that I've done over the last week, here's really what I've found and what the most important things are. So I've matched up my total sleep time and my deep sleep and my REM sleep, and I've compared it to my mental performance on a daily basis. And what I found in my initial analysis many years ago was that deep sleep and REM sleep were the most important factors in your day-to-day mental performance. So what I found now that I've got a far larger data set to actually work with is that those factors are important, your deep sleep and your REM sleep, but the most important factor is simply your total sleep time each night. And I'm not talking about the time spent in bed, I'm talking about the time you are actually asleep each night. That seems to correlate most with your mental performance on a day-to-day basis. So basically, on the days where you slept an above average amount, your mental performance will be far higher, and on the days where you slept an below average amount, your mental performance will be much lower. Now, of course, this is kind of common sense. Like, everyone knows, if you want to be sharp, you need to get more sleep. But it's not as simple as that. It's really, how much sleep do you need? Because some people say you can get by with 5-6 hours of sleep, and some people say you need 8 hours of sleep. So really, I'm just going to share my experience, like how much sleep I have been getting and my mental performance, and what really matches up, what gives me the most mental performance on a day-to-day basis. So for the last 5 years, my sleep has kind of averaged between 6.5 hours per night up to 8.5 hours per night of actual sleep time. Depending on what year it was, how much I'm working on. I've got a 3-year-old daughter now as well, so of course when she was born I would have had a bit less sleep during that time. So all these different factors affected how much sleep I got at different times of the year and depending what year it was. And my average over all that time was 7 hours and 45 minutes of actual time of sleep. And what I found is that amount of sleep is pretty much sufficient to get me to peak mental performance. And you would think that if 7 hours and 45 minutes is enough for peak mental performance, you would think that perhaps 7 hours, you should be quite fine. You should be fairly sharp still at 7 hours. Well, you'd be wrong about that. If I average 7 hours of sleep, which is only 45 minutes less, my mental performance can drop around about 30%, which is a massive amount. Like, for all the brain training I've done, for all the amount that I've increased my intelligence, if I start averaging 7 hours sleep per night instead of 7 hours and 45 minutes, my mental performance will be lower than it was before I started the brain training, before I increased my intelligence. I would be dumber than when I even started any training at all. That's how much of a difference it makes, 7 hours compared to 7 hours and 45 minutes. Now, of course, everyone might not be exactly the same as me, but you can use this as a rough guide for how much sleep you should be getting, because most people don't have 5 years of sleep data to really analyze like I do. And the reason why I came up with this is because I noticed over the last 6 months that my trading performance had become a bit flat. Like, I've been consistently profitable in trading for a few years now, but over the last 6 months, I started to ramp up my trading a bit to really become a bit more professional with my trading. And what I've actually found is my performance has been a bit flat. It's been below where I thought it would be. Let's just put it that way. So what I've analyzed over the last 6 months where I've been doing this high volume trading is I went back and I saw I've actually been averaging about 7 hours and 15 minutes of sleep. And then I went back and checked my mental performance on these days as well, and my mental performance was far lower on these days over the last 6 months as well. So basically I've been handicapping my trading performance massively. And I went and I did this analysis because I've compared my mental performance, which I have data on every single day. I've compared that data to my sleep data, and that's where I found that the total sleep time is massively important. But I've also compared the total sleep time to my trading performance as well, because I've got daily trading performance results as well. I've got all that data going back many years, and in particular, I've got the last 6 months where I really ramped up my trading. And what I found is, if I simply eliminated the trading days where I had a below average amount of sleep, then my profitability would be about 6 times higher, like just massively higher. I was a little bit profitable during the last 6 months, but instead of being a little bit profitable, I would have been insanely profitable over the last 6 months if I simply just cut out the days where I had a below average amount of sleep. And the effect is even larger if I filtered for the days where I had like a decent amount of sleep, not just an above average amount. Because for the last 6 months, my average was only 7 hours and 15 minutes of sleep. So if I only traded on the days where I got 7 hours and 15 minutes or more sleep, then yeah, my trading performance would have been massively better. But also if I filtered for the days where I only got where I got 7.5 hours sleep or more, then the result would be even better again. Like, it's kind of crazy how that amount of sleep can have that much impact. Like, we're talking about half an hour difference. We're talking about 30, 45 minutes of less sleep can have that much difference. It can basically crater your trading performance, and it can crater your mental performance on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, this is my initial findings that I found by really doing a deep dive into all the data that I've collected over these last 5 years. And I do need to do a bit more analysis, but really the summary from all this is I think I need to be making sleep my number one priority. Sleep has always been a fairly important factor for me. It's always been like in the top kind of priorities for me, but it's never really been number one. And I think I definitely need to make sleep my number one priority, and then everything else is secondary to sleep. Because if my trading performance and my intelligence on a day-to-day basis can be so impacted by 30 or 45 minutes of extra sleep, imagine if I can get my sleep level to like 8.5 hours per night consistently. Like, imagine my performance at that level. Like, I think it would be pretty amazing, but that's something that I really am going to focus on now. And for the last 4 days, I have been optimizing my sleep. I might make a separate video on how I'm optimizing my sleep to really maximize the quantity and the quality of the sleep I'm getting now. But yeah, for now, it's just become my number one focus, definitely. Number one focus is sleep. Secondary focus is on training, both mental training and physical training. And then the third focus is on performance. So actually going out and doing things, using your performance to actually achieve things. Like for me, that is trading to make money. So that's my new order of priorities. Is number one is sleep. Number 2 is training, both mental and physical training. And number 3 is actually just going out and using my new ability on a day-to-day basis to achieve my goals, which for me is just making as much money as possible. Yeah, that's about it, guys. I'm going to make more videos on this because it's a deeper topic than just one video can really express. And I do need to do more analysis and really fine-tune how I'm going to optimize my sleep. I think you guys might find that interesting too, so I will make a couple more videos on this topic as well. But yeah, if you have any comments or questions, make sure to leave a comment down below. And yeah, if you like this video, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Cheers, guys.